Welcome to Suitably. We are back with another edition, and we're going to discuss something that is often asked from all of our customers that come here. It's that question that keeps coming back. Should I get a notch lapel or should I get a peak lapel? Well, the answer depends. Let's talk about the lapel in general. Let's talk about the history of the lapel. Well, back in the 15th, 16th century, a lot of the military garments that people used to wear in Europe used to have a button all the way up to the top of the neck. And so, typically the jacket would close up like this. And so, over the course of 300 years, that lapel tended to sort of like fall back. People would want to be more comfortable. A lot of the military gentlemen would have that unbuttoned, and that sort of created a natural form, right, that would go above the chest area and then close in smaller towards the buttoning of the jacket. Remember, this used to all have buttons all the way up to here, and then eventually that ended because most of the people just wanted to be comfortable, and eventually we have what we call the lapel today. So essentially the lapel is what you see here, and today it's more of a stylistic type of thing. Let's talk first about what I have now, the notch lapel. So a notch lapel can generally be identified by having this little indentation right here. So if you see on my lapel, you'll see that, there's a little bit of an indenting, sort of like something like this inside the lapel. I would say that the notch lapel is typically seen today in off-the-rack stores. So most suits today in large scale manufacturing are made with notch lapel. The reason why is because notch lapels are very versatile. It's a modern look, and whether you wear with or without a tie, you can make a suit look either formal or informal. So in the case that you wanted to go out for a brunch, go out on a night out at the movies, unbuttoned shirt, a notch lapel looks very good. On the other hand, let's talk about the peak lapel. The peak lapel is ordered a lot less from my experience, and the reason is that peak lapels, which are distinguished by the lapel peaking upwards, giving it a more robust, a more imposing look. The purpose of the peak lapel is a little bit more formal, so you tend to see peak lapels on very important lawyers, very big events, formal events, baptisms, weddings, where you have to do some public speaking. Usually you'd see the peak lapel. So typically when somebody comes in and wants to get married, usually a peak lapel is what's recommended. The nice thing about a peak lapel is that it's known for its formality. So whether you see the peak lapel on a tuxedo, whether you see it on a suit, a normal suit, a sport jacket, it's always a little bit more of a formal type of look. On the other hand, the notch lapel, I'd take that, whenever I want a jacket or I want a color that can be worn in all types of different occasions. If you're not going to buy a suit every few weeks and you want that one good suit but then have a ton of versatility with its usage, I would definitely choose going with the notch lapel. Another question that oftentimes, depending on what lapel you choose, our customers ask is, well, how wide should my lapel be? If somebody has a very broad shoulders, right? So let's say Shaquille O'Neal, for example. He has a tendency to make a huge mistake and have these little tiny, notch lapels. And so what happens is that it just looks like there's a ton of space around the shoulder area, and these little tiny lapels, it just doesn't look proportional. So usually what I'd recommend is if you have broad shoulders or if you've got that V, shaped body, you want to go a little bit wider. A wide peak lapel, a wide notch lapel, that's what I definitely recommend. On the other hand, if you don't have such wide shoulders and you tend, I don't have the widest shoulders, but I do like the sort of angle of the lapel going more like this as opposed to a bit of a straighter angle when you have a thinner lapel. I love that look. It sort of makes me look fitter than I actually am. Now, that sort of answers whether you should go standard width or large width. Remember, the type of ties that you wear is extremely important. So if you're typically used to wearing the very large neckties, definitely go with a larger lapel. If you like the skinnier ties, go with a thinner lapel. Everything put together sort of looks more proportional in that sense. When we talk about tuxedos, you typically 99% of the time want to go with either a peak lapel or a shawl lapel. A shawl lapel is more rounded. So right here you can see it's rounded, it doesn't have the notch here, and it doesn't have the peak either. So either you go with a shawl lapel, which is a timeless look, or you go with a peak lapel. It's very, very, very rare. Not something that you can't do, but it's very rare that you go with a notch lapel. Reason being is that most scholars in this field would tend to say, well, the notch lapel comes from a more new industrial type of look, and what you did was we merged that look into a more formal dinner jacket, a more formal tuxedo, sort of clashes. The traditionalists will tend to say that the dinner jacket or the tuxedo is really the morphing of a tailcoat from the past and a dinner jacket, which typically you would see either a shawl lapel or a peak lapel. So for you folks out there, there are no right answers, no wrong answers. If you want a tuxedo that's with a notch lapel, go ahead and do it if that's what you prefer. But in general, you want to go with a peak lapel or a shawl lapel for a tuxedo. I hope that my discussion today about lapels helps you choose the right lapel for your suit, and we'll see you next time. If you like our channel, please do subscribe, please do like this video, and we will have some interesting stuff coming up. Thank you.